Okay, everybody, we're going to be starting off with the General Motors piece of crap car that you don't want to buy. It's Cadillac XT5 Luxury. I don't know, I don't call luxury waiting on the side of the road for your tow truck. Yeah, it's got a 3-liter V6. It's got the all-wheel drive and things like that. It's got 63,000 miles, which is too much for a Cadillac. Now we're going to transfer into cars that are a good price to buy and a car that will last. We'll go ahead and take a look at this 24 Corolla Cross LE. Now, first thing that I have to say about the Corolla Cross LE is it's the type of car that sits on state lines looking at you like that, just trying to intimidate you. Because it's a Corolla Cross. It's always trying to cross over without your permission. So, but just typical for a Toyota Corolla. Now, these things also have a CVT in them, which is a little strange in a Toyota. But as you drive around, you get a little used to things. And I guarantee you, this thing's got a 4-cylinder engine in it. It doesn't say, but I guarantee you it's a 2.5 liter inline 4 engine. Gas. Well, we all know that engines have gas in them. Let's see if we can get a little information on this side. Well, if you look at the top, if you look at the head of the engine or the top of the engine, you can see that there's 4 ignition coils. So it's a 4-cylinder, right? You can see all of the Toyota components that will last you quite some time. You got the alternator with the serpentine belt, with the exhaust manifold, the air filter system, the battery in the rear, the fuel injection system, the fuel rails, and things like that. These are all things that aren't going to rust out and break prematurely like the Cadillac. Now, Toyota's, their weak points are their stereo systems. Okay, we're not doing General Motors garbage. We're going to take a look at, not that, 2020 BMW. Bring money with you. We're going to take a look at this ES350. And the ESs, they started off, so the way the Lexus brand itself started off was Toyota sent people to, and Toyota is just luxurious Lexus, but Toyota sent people to California to analyze what people want. And at that time, this was in the early 90s, Toyota discovered that Americans want powerful, larger sedans that can last, which is something that at that time they didn't really see because, most luxurious cars then were foreign leaking garbage. So the Lexuses were just like Nissans back in that time, where they were luxurious and they could last. So this one is, of course, because it's a 22, you're going to have USB Type-C, push-button start. You're going to have a touchscreen radio in the car. And you're also going to have a cluster of all sorts of things that will last on this car. Because it is a Toyota. Well, it's a Lexus ES350. And that is pretty much just a dressed up Toyota Camry. Okay, we're going to find 3 more cars that are quality cars that you people should consider buying. (2022) Honda CR-V LX. Now, I did a video on a CR-V a couple years ago out of Lunenburg, Massachusetts. And one thing that I didn't like about the CR-V is that it was very slow. The Nissan Rogue could push that car off the side of the road. Because the CRV had this was a 2014 model, so it still had a geared ratio transmission, which in my mind made it feel a little more slower. But I've seen them with 349,000 miles on them, though. And Nissan with the Jatco CVT on a Nissan Rogue would be on 6 or 7 transmission. So these things hold a representation of long-lasting reliability. I'm not a fan of that 1.5 liter. I would do a 2.4. Because that does have the GDI turbo injection issues. But other than that, it's a pretty good car. Again, General Motors garbage. 2018 Chevy Malibu LT. These engines blow up all the time when they have recalls for bumpers falling off. Ugh, Land Rover Discovery. Don't even get me started with that garbage. EV garbage. See, I find it ironic what the 24 Defenders have on them. Is some of them, they have a camper on the top. So when your Land Rover breaks down, you have a perfect place to wait. Let's keep looking at quality Japanese cars. Right? So we're going to keep scrolling. And we're going to scroll for a long time because there's a lot of junk in Albuquerque. Okay, this Honda Accord Hybrid Breeze is an excellent car. A customer in Acton then had one right outside of Portland, Maine. About an hour drive. Right around the corner from the White Mountains in New Hampshire. He had 175,000 miles on it. You know how many times that one broke? None. Absolutely none. Original catalytic converters, original engine, original transmission. Now, what's one thing that's a plus on this Accord, is that it's not an 05 to 04 EX V6, because those things ate through transmissions a lot because they had the same exact transmission that you would find in a 4-cylinder model, and a 4-cylinder car naturally has less torque. So instead of distributing the transmission on the 4-cylinder model and the 6-cylinder model, Honda should have had a transmission that was desired for the 6-cylinder model, but Honda took a half-assed response to that one and resulted in lots of transmission failures. But in 2017, that took a walk and never came back. Thank God. Alrighty. We'll keep looking around a little bit. Again, BMW garbage. No wonder why it's for sale. Nobody wants it. So much junk. 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 There's a lot of crappy cars in Albuquerque. Man, they must not have a lot of junkyards. Wow. Junk everywhere in Albuquerque. Oh, man. Okay, so we'll talk about this 2019 Toyota Highlander Limited Platinum Edition with leather seats and a V6. And the thing that I like about this car is Highlanders are bulletproof. They last forever. You can see everything that you need there. It's a 3.5 liter port direct injection DOHC VVT-IE. And what that means in English is the 3.5 liter V6 port direction injection engine was used in all sorts of Toyotas. The Forerunners, the V6 Camrys, the Avalons, the ES350s, the uh, years of Highlanders. So if this was a crappy engine, then Toyota, tell me why you kept making it and why they kept running over millions of miles. And this is unlike the 3-liter VTEC. I have a lot of beef with Honda and the 3-liter VTEC because they use a timing belt. To give you an idea, the last time that Toyota manufactured an engine without it with the timing belt, that was interference like all of the Honda V6 engines are, was 2003 on the ES330. We're going to actually talk about a company that has risen a lot in quality control. And this is the Subaru company. Now forget their V6s. Their V6s are garbage. They burn oil all the time. But Subarus, now they used to blow head gaskets a lot more often back in the days because of the displacement of their engines. Now, it can still happen nowadays. It's a little less likely, but I'm going to tell you how it happens with the Subarus. Okay, so when an engine is normally made, when the head gasket is dropped on to the block, it's an actual aluminum gasket. On the Subarus, the way that they make it is it's not an aluminum gasket. It's just custard. And how they do it is they just glue it on and then they freeze it on there and then they put the head on and all the things back together and cover up the cylinders and off they go. So that is why. Because as those cars get old, we're talking 20 years old, they tend to have head gasket problems. Which gets me thinking that Subaru still has those problems, but this car is just simply not old enough. However, they don't have Nissan transmission issues. And you can get a good deal. See, I've seen a lot of people switch from a Toyota RAV4 to a Subaru Crosstrek because they do ride more smoothly. Now, the Toyota RAV4s have a 2.5 liter engine in them, inline 4 too, and they have an actual aluminum head gasket where the Subarus have that tape one or the glue one. And it's kind of like plumber's caulking, right? In plumber's caulking, what they do is they splop it onto the pipes and it sticks the pipes together when they're leaking. Plumber's caulking is very similar to the caulking work that they do on the Subarus, where they just put the caulking on the head of the block and then they put the valves back together and everything and glue it together and off it goes. Kind of a lazy way to do things. However, you can get a lot better of a ride quality out of a Subaru, a lot better of a price than you can out of a RAV4. But I've seen people beat the hell out of their RAV4s, drive them like maniacs, and they still run 337,000 miles. Though you'll never find a RAV4 with 80,000 miles on it for 16 grand because they last. And sometimes it's cheaper to get a less quality car as long as it's not a Jeep Gladiator. One time my neighbor blew her engine and her transmission all at one time. Typical for a Jeep. Okay. Again, Audi, run. I talked to a German mechanic one time, and you know what he said about an Audi? He said, well, they're just designed to last 60,000 miles, and then he traded in for a new one. Hey, I I've never owned a car that has had under 100,000 miles on it. And when I buy them with 150, 160, 120, 140, 180, hey, I'm thinking about making that car last me another 6 or 7 years. Right? The blue Altima that I had. I picked that thing up with 121,000 miles and I kept it for 5 years and somebody ran into me. Oh, I didn't drive it much the first couple of years I had it. I didn't drive it much overall. So when I got rid of it, I had 149,000 miles on it. So that tells you a little under 20,000 miles in 5 years. Not very many miles. Okay, so we're going to keep looking a little bit. I'm trying to show you guys budget friendly cars. Oh, doesn't that sound amusing? Plymouth Prowler. Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. So we're going to talk about this car right here, which to the naked eye, this could look like a budget car, which it is not. It is a Chevy Cruze. And these have god awful transmissions in them, and the head gaskets blow up all the time in them. All the time. So, yes, the price is cheap, but the repair bills are not cheap. Believe me. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this. Where is it? The kicks. Oh, I lost the kicks. Should have whacked it next time. Mm, do do do. So much crap. Alrighty. Let's get rid of the Stellantis garbage. Talk about this Nissan Altima. And I know a lot of people don't like Nissan Altimas because of their well known, infamous Junko Fall Apart Jatco CVT. However, the 2.5 liter inline 4 naturally aspirated engine in this car, not direct injection, is an excellent engine. These are bulletproof engines. These things can last forever. Now, my 2010 Blue Altima had a CVT with Xtronic, and what the Xtronic means is pretty much luxurious ways to say the manual mode. Now, CVT, continuously variable transmission, is what that stands for, right? And it's got blind spot monitoring and the brake assist, right? And I can tell you right now, and the lane keep departure system. On the Altimas, that system doesn't really work. It's pretty half-assed on those things. But they have a killer sound system, and their ride quality is through the roof. Now, one thing that will buy you a lot of time on a Nissan Altima is making sure the CVT fluid has been serviced every 30,000 miles. They can last you if you do that. If you drive them 120,000 miles and never do it, it will break. That's just the way it goes with those things. And this is another example of why I push Nissans if the CVT fluid, continuously variable transmission with Xtronic, was changed. Because 16,000 dollars on 79,226 on the odometer is something you'll never find with a Honda and a Toyota. Now, that's because Hondas and Toyotas will run you 300,000 miles without any maintenance at all. Now, if the maintenance is taken care of, keep in mind the Honda Accord's going to cost you twice as much as that. Now, if you change the CVT fluid about 5 times to 100 to 300,000 miles, which will cost you a total of $2,200 till 300,000 miles. You're in the deal in this case this would be just shy of $20,000. Keep in mind the average 2022 Honda Accord's got that 1.5 liter Earthstreams engine in it, and has an average price tag of $30,000, where you could get this Altima with the CVT Xtronic with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine in it for 16, and do that transmission over, fluid over. It will last you quite some time. And say that CVT goes out when it's got 200,000 miles on it, and the engine and the other stuff on the vehicle is working good. It might not be a bad idea to pay a couple of bucks to get it changed. And I mean a lot of couple of bucks. We're going to talk about this Toyota, and I'm going to give you a little bit of lessons with this Toyota. And this is after the Toyota quality control started to go down fast. Toyota is, unfortunately, after 22, Toyota is nothing what they used to be. This is a 2024 Toyota Tundra with the hybrid system, and it's also got a 3.4 liter naturally aspirated, actually twin turbo 6 engine. Well, the old ones were 5.9 liter iForce V8s that could run forever, right? Now, these had scored cylinder walls in them, and these had all sorts of engine problems. And it was very frequent, so much that Toyota had to recall these things. And on top of it, it's got a monstrosity 10-speed automatic transmission. And this truck doesn't get better gas mileage because of the smaller engine with people towing compared to a iForce V8. So, oftentimes downgrading the size of the engine is not a good thing, because I guarantee if this thing had an iForce V8, it would not have the problems that you see now. Okay, everybody, it was nice speaking with you guys tonight. Yesterday I posted up a video about some cars that you don't want to buy. So these are some cars that you do want to buy in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area. And I will be uploading in the near future a video in regards to budget cars.